as we walk through Genesis, as we've seen last week, we saw Abram and Lot and the quarrels that they found themselves in because they made some decisions that brought about consequences, right? And we see the division that caused between Abram and Lot, and how two that were walking together became divided. And Abram gave Lot the choice: you go this way, I'll go this way; you go that way, I'll go this way, right? And Lot chose. And how did Lot choose? He saw with what he saw, right? He didn't seek God's direction in that. He didn't go to prayer or to the altar or anything else. He just looked, and whatever was desirable to him, he reached out and he took it, right? And it's the same story that gets played over and over again, right? It's right back to the garden of Adam and Eve. Like you saw something desirable, you reach out and take it. How's this going to work out for him? Good decision, bad decision. What do you think? Bad decision, right? Just as it usually is. Sometimes we can't see how bad that decision is when we take it, when whatever's desirable, when it looks good. You're in a place that kind of looks like Eden, right? Everything was lush and green and it looks like Eden. Was it Eden? No, it's the opposite. It becomes the anti-Eden, and that's the picture we have of Sodom and Gomorrah, where Lot chose to go. It's an anti-Eden. It's a place further from God. Remember, he traveled east to get there, right? It's away from God's presence. And how does Abraham look? Let's read it. Someone read Genesis 13, 12 through 18 for us.
Abram lived in the land of Canaan, while Lot lived among the cities of the plain and pitched his tent near Sodom. Now the people of Sodom were wicked, were sinning greatly against the Lord. The Lord said to Abram, after Lot had parted from him, look around from where you are, to the north and south, to the east and west. All the land that you see, I will give to you and your offspring forever. I will make your offspring like the dust of the earth, so that if anyone could count the dust, then your offspring could be counted. Go walk through the length and breadth of the land, for I am giving it to you. So Abram went to live near the great trees of Mamre at Hebron, where he pitched his tents. There he built an altar to the Lord.
All right. So Lot chose what was pleasurable, what was desirable. How does Abram choose?
What God gave him.
It's what God gave. This is God's speech. God told him where to go. God told him where to look. God told him where to walk and to go. And so we see this. We're seeing just two different ways of how we respond to the path in front of us. We have lots of ways of choosing our own way, choosing what looks good, choosing what I think is right versus choosing what God thinks is right, and how he tells us, right? And it may have looked like Lot was getting the better end of this deal because physically from the eyes, right, it looked better. But as we see so many, I'm sure each and every one of us in here can think of times when things looked better, but they weren't better. And it's through God's vision that we begin to see those things. So Lot's dwelling in the valley, right, in the plain, this anti-Eden picture. And Abram's on the high place. He's up at Hebron. He's on the mountain. He's at the place where God meets him. God is speaking there to him. He's talking to him. And he tells him, look around from where you are to the north, south, east, and west. All the land that you will see, I give to you and your offspring forever. So we've heard this promise that God will give Abram offspring, right? I will give you seed. That was the promise we read all about in chapter 12. But there's something else here that he talks about. I will give you seed. What else? I will make your offspring like the dust of the earth. Where do we learn about the dust? In the beginning. What they were made from. So now he brings up this imagery of the dust again, the dust that Adam was created from, that Eve was pulled apart from Adam. Now he's saying, I'm going to bring forth from the dust, right? It's a new creation again, right? Just like we saw in Noah after the flood, there was the new creation to bring life again. Now through Abram, new life will happen, and it's through the dust of Abram's ancestry, his offspring, his seed. And it's this fam, right? So Yahweh formed East, right? East and Esau, man and woman. And now through Abram, he's going to form this new generation, this new people, this new walking that will be, that is supposed to be a blessing to all nations. Remember, that was their calling. You are blessed. I have put my name on you so that you will bless everyone around you. Forming seed out of dust, right? And he tells him, look around from where you are. He says, go walk through the length and breadth of the land, for I am giving it to you. Is he just saying go from here to there? What's the sense you get when you read that?
It's a big chunk.
It's a big chunk. Is it just in one direction? No. When I think about this, I think about the if you've watched any Australian movies, you hear about a walkabout. Let's go on a walkabout. That's the idea. That's the sense that we get here. It's not just, hey, go here from here to there. No, go walk the land. Go everywhere where I have given you, and go check it out and be a part of it. And go from here to there. It's not about getting to a destination. It's about strolling, right? Go on a walkabout. Who are we told walked with God? Enoch walked with God. How'd that work out for him? Real well. Real well. Who else? Who else walked with God? Noah. Noah walked with God. Worked out pretty well for him, right? We get this picture of walking with God, to go on a walkabout with God, not on a destination, but everywhere we go, walking in his presence, being connected to him wherever he goes. And that's this idea when he tells them, go walk through the land, go on a walkabout, right? And be connected. And each and every person we've seen so far in the Bible that walked with God has walked in God's presence, been connected to God wherever they go, and God works through them in some mighty ways, right? And he says, go walk through the length and the width of the land. We've heard those terms before. Where did we hear the length and width from? Brett?
Noah's creation.
The vessel, right? The vessel, the ark, right? And so we're given just real similar imagery about where Abram's to go, the length and the width of the land. Is it an ark this time? What did the ark represent, though? God's space, right? It's a little mini floating Eden, right? All the chaos is all around the ark. It's what he created. That's right. And no evil inside the ark. Chaos all around it, with this perfect picture of man and animal in perfect harmony, of God dwelling with them in that space, right? The ark becomes a little floating Eden. And now this promised land from Abram is being described in very similar ways. Go to this land I'm giving you. Who can we expect to find there in that land? Canaanites are there.
They're distant relatives.
Yes, distant relatives, right? But as Abram goes to these high places, he can expect to meet God there. That's the image we're getting, that this is the new promised land, the new Eden picture. Now, this is not Eden, right? We know that the cherubim, they got that pretty well sealed up. But this is the new space where God is going to meet with his people here. He did, actually. He did. He did. So he went west, but he also went north, south.
It's that all that.
Yeah, so Hebron would have been to the west, and then I don't have the map up, but yeah, so everything there would be west from where they came in, right? So Abraham's walking through the land. He can trust that Yahweh's going to walk with him here, and we see this picture of Sodom and Gomorrah. We're gonna get into a lot of Sodom and Gomorrah in chapter 19, but Sodom and Gomorrah comes all throughout the Bible, comes to represent depravity. It comes to represent wickedness, and that's where Lot goes. And Abram's promised the land. How long will this land last? Verse 15. Forever. I'm going to give you a land where I am that will last forever. That's an eternal land, right? We're seeing this imagery of God's space and dwelling with him forever being set up right here in Genesis 13, right? It's forever. And, Abram turns his back on the city of man, right? Because that's what Sodom and Gomorrah represents. Abraham turns his back on the city of man, the city of desire, the city of what's in it for the flesh. And he seeks a hilltop refuge on a mountain, right? That was invisible to the eyes, right? Lot didn't see it. Lot couldn't see it. But through God's vision, through God's grace, Abram finds where he's supposed to be. And it really does connect with who are we listening to? What guides our steps? Is it desire? Is it what looks good to us? Or is it what God would have for us? God knows the best for us. How are we following? And what does that look like for each and every one of us? It's through the promise. Flip to Hebrews real quick, 11. Hall of Faith stuff. Someone read 5 through 10. Hebrews 11, 5 through 10.
By faith, Enoch was taken up so that he should not see death, and he was not found because God had taken him. Now, therefore, he was taken as he was commended as having pleased God. And without faith, it is impossible to please him. For whoever draw near to God must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who seek him. By faith, Noah, being warned by God concerning events as yet unseen, in reverent fear, constructed an ark for the saving of his household. By this, he condemned the world that became an heir of the righteousness that comes by faith. By faith, Abraham obeyed when he was called to go out to a place that he was to receive as an inheritance. And he went out, not knowing where he was going. By faith, he went to live in the land of promise, as in a foreign land, living in tents with Isaac and Jacob, heirs with him of the same promise. For he was looking forward to the city that has foundations, whose designer and builder is God.
No, that's it. Yep. Thank you. What's distinctive about these heroes of the faith, right?
They had it.
They had it. They had what? They had faith, right? What else? They didn't question it, right? They trusted, and trusted is so huge here, right? And we just talked about the three that in Genesis that were called to walk with God, and guess where they end up? In Hebrews, in the Hall of Faith. What does that mean for us when we walk with God daily, when we go on walkabouts with God? We have the same promise. What could that look like for us to go on a walkabout with God?
I had a terrible day Friday.
Okay.
At work.
Come on.
Came home with the worst stitch headache
Yep.
all day long. Jackson and I were driving to Aztec. And he goes, Nana, I'm sorry you had a bad day yesterday. And I said, well, I don't know what I'm worried about it. It's not in my hands, right? And he goes, right, Nana, it's in God's hands. And I swear, the tension headache's gone.
Wow.
It's just like, I just had it and acknowledge it.
Right.
I don't have to worry about it.
Right. You knew the promise. And just acknowledging that and to allow God to walk with us through that. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
That's so good, right?
That's why we love him.
That's yeah. From the mouth of babes, right? But to walk with God, to be in God's presence, to give him space in our lives, to intentionally engage with him. And look how well it works out for so many in faith. Does that mean that these guys never walked through any trials? Through any circumstances that are difficult? Through any craziness of life around them? Each and every one of these had some craziness. But yet they walked. And they were diligent and they were intentional about how they walked. Right? And it talks about Abram and this city, this descendants that he has here in this hall of faith, right? By faith he made his home in the promised land like a stranger in a foreign country. He lived in tents, as did Isaac and Jacob, who were heirs with him of the same promise. For he was looking forward to the city with foundations. So far, who's been the city builders in the narrative? Man, what kind of cities did they build? So far, the cities have been, right? Cain built the city to protect himself. And then we've got the Babel, the city and the tower that was built. And then we're going to have Sodom and Gomorrah. So we start to get this idea of the cities that man built for man's purposes don't bring about much good. And yet, who's building this city? God is. God's the architect. God is the promise. God is the builder with foundations. And he's building his foundations through people who walk with him. Can we see that? And when we walk with him, we are part of the foundation that continues to get built through this, right?
Interesting thing about it is pretty quick, you get a sense that, and obviously we saw it in Lot, that man probably wouldn't have picked this land,
That's right.
right?
Right.
It offers them protection and gives them some things that are good for them,
Right.
but this wouldn't have been the place where you would have went and planted your flag and said, man, this is amazing.
This is it. Right.
But God took them here and blessed it and blessed the descendants and all of those things, but without listening to God, they wouldn't have settled in the place that gave them protection and all the things that they needed.
That's it.
They would have ended up somewhere
Yeah.
that probably would have got raided and everybody would have come in. It wouldn't have been a pleasant experience.
Yeah.
But God directed them.
It's God's direction. And that's so key here as we walk through these passages in Genesis about how God is moving through these situations. And this little passage sets up the next, but it's what God's building, right? That's forever. It'll last forever. It's the New Jerusalem. This is the foundations are right here. The foundations are in this room if we allow him to work in our lives to build a new Jerusalem, a new place where God is the builder. And it has nothing to do with the Middle East. It has everything to do with God being in presence with us and his people. All right, back to Genesis. So we get through Abraham and Lot, Abram and Lot separating. Then we get this weird story. Like, I don't even know how else to say it. Like, I've read this so many times to be like, what does this have to do with anything? Like, we were learning about Abram, we're learning about his descendants, and now we got all these kings and they're at each other's throats. And what is happening? And it was through Tim Mackey and his commentary gave me a little bit of direction here, and really kind of bring some things into focus. So let's look at this today. Someone read 14:1 through 10. Oh, I had a meme and I forgot to put it up there. It's a guy sweating, and he's like, I don't want to be the one that reads when they got all the names. Can't believe I forgot that, because this is one where that is apt. Like there's some names. So just say them with confidence and we'll all pretend like that's exactly, because no one else knows either. So
Chedorlaomer, king of Elam, and king of Jordan. These kings made war with Bera, king of Sodom, Bersha, king of Gomorrah, Shinar, king of Admah, Shemeber, king of Zalbim, and the king of Bela, that is Zor, and all these joined forces in the valley of Sidon, that is the Salt Sea. 12 years they had served Chedorlaomer, but in the 13th year they rebelled. In the 14th year, Chedorlaomer and the kings who were with him came and defeated the Rephaim and Ashtaroth Harnaim, the Zuzim in Ham, and the Emim in Shavah Kiriathaim, and the Horites in the hill country of Seir as far as El Paran in the border of the wilderness. How far?
10.
Then they Mishpat, that is the country of the Amalekites, and also the Amalekites. Then the king of Sodom and the king of Gomorrah, the king of Admah and the king of Zeobim, and the king of Bela, that is Zoar, went out and they joined battle in the valley of Siddim. With Chedorlaomer, king of Elam, Tidal, king of Goim, Amraphel, king of Shinar, and Arok, king of Elasar, 4 kings against 5. Now the valley of Siddim was full of bitumen pits, and the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fled. Some fell into them, and the rest fled into the whole country.
Give her a hand. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So many names. What is happening here, and why does this make any difference whatsoever? Like, why in the Bible that has so much goodness to say, why is this here? Let's find out. So they're first the king of Shinar. Where do we know Shinar from? We talked about Shinar. Anyone remember? Babylon, Babel, the Tower of Babel. So Shinar is Babylon. Elam, the king of Elam, that's Persia. Babylon and Persia. Is that going to be some interesting places coming up forth in the biblical narrative? Yes. Absolutely. Right? So we got the king of Babylon, the king of Persia, Elasar. There's a lot of different thoughts on what that is. I'm not. And the title king of Goyim. Goyim means nations. So you've got Babylon, you've got Persia, and this generic name of the king of the nations, right? So basically the idea that's being set up here is these are the nations outside of Canaan. Verse in the other side of these is the kings that are in Canaan, right? So we got this 4-king coalition, and we're told they're opposed to these other 5 kings. As we look at it, let's see some of these fun names. Gomorrah, let's see. Kings went to war against Bera, king of Sodom. Bera means evil. So evil, king of Sodom. Just like you're going to see some real funny stuff here and how they're depicted in very ironic and sarcastic ways. So evil, king of Sodom. We got wicked. Bersha is wicked. Wicked, king of Gomorrah. If you get a Bible commentary, a concordance, you'll see this. This is real fun stuff. Like you're going to see some really cool stuff here with these names. Shemeber is name of destruction. He's the king name. He's the name of destruction. Bela is devour. This is Zor. And that doesn't mean anything to us. That's going to mean something to us in chapter 19 in Sodom and Gomorrah. Zor will come back, but he's the devourer. And we see these kings, these 4 kings. So there's 5 kings on one side. There's 4 kings on the other side. Oh, I missed one. Shenab means I hate my father. That's fun, right?
Name for that?
Yeah, Shenab. He's king of I hate my father. That's fun stuff, right?
Or Logan.
Yeah. Don't name your kid Shenab. I'm just saying, like that not going to work out for you all. Like, just by their names, are these good people? No, they're depicted. Huh? But Lot lives there. Lot serves under King Evil. Right? That's the land he chose to live under King Evil. Can we see how this is being depicted? Is that their actual names? We don't know, but that seems kind of it's how they're depicted anyway. We can see these. How many kings? So 4 on one side, 5 on the other. It told us how many kings that was. 9. We know that 10 is a good number. There's going to be one more king here, Melchizedek. We haven't been introduced to him yet. We're not going to get to him till next week. But Melchizedek is the 10th king here, and we're going to really key in on that next week. Melchizedek is Sadiq. It means righteousness. So you've got these 9 evil kings, and they're going to be tearing up each other. They're going to be destroying each other and annihilating each other. And this 10th king is King Righteousness. And he's going to have a lot to say to us next week as we really kind of look at him. But he's the king of peace. He's the king of Salem, which is peace. He's the one that brings out the bread and the wine, who brings people together, and who is given a pretty cool honor that we're going to look at. But these 9 kings are doing what kings of this day do. They're just straight up annihilating one another, right? They're fighting each other. They're killing each other. And then we get this weird little side story in 5 through 7 about how it's a backstory on the kings, these 4 kings of the nations, Babylon and Persia, and they go out and they're defeating some of these Canaanites. So on the screen here, in the 14th year, Chedorlaomer, and the kings allied with him went out and defeated the Raphaites in Ashtoreth. Anyone ever heard of an Asherah pole? Yeah, okay, so we know where that came from. Defeated the Raphaites in Ashtoreth, Karnaim. The Zuzites in Ham. We know about Ham, right? Good guy, bad guy. He's a bad guy. By his own choices. And the Emites in Shaveh Kiriathim. Anyone know what's significant about these 3 nations that he just named? They're all giants. Deuteronomy 3:11. Og, king of Bashan, was the last of the Raphaites. His bed was decorated with iron and was more than 9 cubits long and 4 cubits wide. It is still in Rabbah of the Ammonites. 9 cubits is about 13.5 feet. Who needs a 13.5 foot bed?
You do with 2 dogs.
Right? Most of you could lay in the, head to foot and still not need a 13.5 bed. Right? Someone real big, right? This is the Raphites were known as the giants, right? Deuteronomy 2:19 and 21. When you came to the Amorites, do not harass them or provoke them. This is in Moses' speech in his is the longest sermon ever that he gives in Deuteronomy. Do not harass them or provoke them to war, for I will not give you possession of any land belonging to the Ammonites. I have given it as a possession to the descendants of Lot. Says that too was considered a land of the Rephites who used to live there, but the Ammonites called them the Zamzamites. That's the Zuzim. They are people as strong and numerous and as tall as the Amalekites. The Lord destroyed them from before the Ammonites, who drove them out of and settled in their place. So that's we'll just call them the Zoomies. And then the Emites used to live there, people strong and numerous and as tall as the Anakites. Like the Anakites, they too were considered Raphaites, but the Moabites called them Emites. A lot of ites, a lot of fun stuff. What do we know about these giants?
Very good beginning.
They don't have a very good beginning, right? What is that beginning, Louis? That's important.
You know, man,
Sons of God and the daughters of men, right? This is the Nephilim.
created evil.
Yeah, and it was for evil. And we also learned through our looks at these through Nimrod, right? He was a giant. And are they weaklings? No, these are great men of renown. They're the men of the reputation because they're great warriors, they're great hunters, they're great fighters. Goliath is a man of the name. He is the Gibborim, right? Gibborim, and he's a mighty warrior. And how do these giants stack up against the armies of the nations? They got defeated, right? They conquered them. They wiped them out. They didn't quite wipe them out. We've seen this twice now, where they've been seen as being wiped out, but they survive. Because we're still going to see them with Goliath and moving forward. And Numbers talks a lot about these Raphaites as well through that. But so we have all these the Rephaim, the Zuzim, the Emim, and they were all struck down through this. This picture shows us these conquering armies, and I think how we're supposed to see this, why we were given the ark imagery and this floating Eden, is through decisions that were made through a people not looking to God's ways, doing their own thing. Is we're seeing a new flood, and this flood is not by water. This flood is through armies that come to conquer and devour. We're going to see this flood come again, aren't we? Will Babylon and Persia come flooding back in at some point in the story of Israel? Yeah, absolutely. Read 2 Kings. You'll read all about it. But it's a flood in the same way of chaos is coming, and you have nothing to protect yourself from chaos because you didn't allow God to build the building. And chaos will come. So we got the king of Sodom, the king of Gomorrah, king of Admah, Seboim, Bela. And then they're going to go to war against these other kings. 9 kings. How does it work out for the Canaanites? These Canaanite kings. They fled. They fell into tar pits. They got destroyed. Huh? Yeah, they're a fossil fuel now themselves.
Where Lot lives, so
Yeah,
that's why this is all here.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
The enemy took possession of Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yes.
So they're even the wicked took possession.
Yep.
So it wasn't as corrupt maybe you know, first went there, but it got. And the same.
Well, it was already, well, yeah. It already in verse 13 said, we're wicked and greatly sinning against the Lord. So, but you're right. So wicked and sinning invites more wickedness, right? Evil invites more evil. And it happens every time. When there's nothing holding chaos at bay, it's just more and more and more. And the depravity keeps coming and the depravity keeps coming, right? That's where we saw that led up to the Noah and his ark. Is just the depravity kept ratcheting up until God had to step in and bring his mercy and judgment onto that whole situation. And now we're seeing that happen again through this new flood. And these kings are defeated. Now the valley of Siddim was full of tar pits, and when the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fled, some of the men fell into them, and the rest fled to the hills. These 4 kings seized all the goods of Sodom and Gomorrah and all their food, and then they went away. They also carried off Abram's nephew Lot and his possessions, since he was living in Sodom. There you go. They worked hard for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Like the original World War I here of the nations and Canaan and all coming together, and there's bloodshed and there's violence and there's flood of armies and there's just chaos everywhere around there. And throughout this whole time, where's Abram? This story's about Abram, right? Where's Abram? He's at Walmart. Is he in any danger whatsoever? The world is on fire, right? That's how we're supposed to see this. Like the armies of the nations attacking the Canaanites. Is Abram in any danger whatsoever? We have to ask ourselves why. Why? God had directed him, and he listened. That's important. God can direct, but if you don't listen, then you're going to be right back where you shouldn't be.
So if Abraham would have chosen the green pasture.
That's it.
He might have been in Lot's shoes.
You would have been exactly in Lot's shoes.
Or choose the next piece of pie.
Right. There you go. And it's so important. And I think that's really what we're meant to see. This flood of chaos came in, but Abram's protected. Because of his, does that mean that Abram's done everything right up to this point? No, he did some pretty crappy stuff. Remember, we read all about that. Made some decisions that will have far-reaching implications moving forward. But he chose to trust in God. He chose to walk with God. He chose to listen to God's guidance and heed his word. And when chaos breaks out, he is protected. He's kept. What would we call that space that's protected from chaos? Huh? It's God's space. It's these pictures of Eden wherever we go. Does that mean that we're not going to walk through any hard times? Any difficulties? No, but we know who walks with us. And we know that when God walks with us, just like Mandy said, he's got this. And it just sometimes takes a little bit of someone, what, 9 years old? How old is Jackson? 8 years old. Maybe it just takes an 8-year-old speaking life into us. Maybe it's just that remembering of who we walked with and why we do what we do, because we know that he continues to protect. And when chaos reigns, like chaos is reigning here, Abram is protected. We got 5 minutes. When we look at Abram in the next passage, Like this raiding army that just wipes out everything from the nations, from Babylon, from Persia, from the powers of the world. They kill all the mightiest giants in the land. How would Abram and his family stack up against these groups? Because they have God. We're going to see that next week. So, and I think that's what we're meant to see by all that, through God working through them. The mightiest army that's ever been known up to this point is going to be thwarted by Abram and his kids and his servants. Not kids yet. He don't have any kids yet, but Abram in his household. And you're like, wait, what? But we see what it means to walk with God, and how walking with God, being in that harmony with Him, going on a walkabout, makes all the difference in the world. And we see it through these narratives. But that's for next week. Let's pray. Lord God, we thank you for your word. We thank you that we see whatever comes, whatever chaos is rained down upon this earth, whatever is chaos happens our way. When we look around and think, Lord, the world is just crazy right now. What is happening to our world? What is going on all around us that's pure chaos? We know that in you is refuge. In you is protection. In you is strength. In you is peace and calm. That doesn't mean that we're not affected in some way or another by what's going on around us, Lord, but we know where our solace is. We know where our hope is. We know where our protection is. And we seek you because we know that you are the way. And that's a promise that we hold on to today. I pray that you would remind us of that today and each and every day, that we would instill that into our kids, that we would speak life into everyone around us to say, you know what? You are God. And anything built on you will not fall. We just lean into that here this morning. So Lord, help us to continue in a great day of worship here today. May we grow closer to you all the more. We pray this in your name, Jesus. Amen.